السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. لا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فإن كان في قبلها شهوة وأكبر رأيها أنها تشتهي أو شكت في ذلك يستحب لها أن تغص بصرها، ولو كان الناظر هو الرجل إليها وهو بهذه الصفة لم ينظر، وهذا إشارة إلى التحريم. ووجه الفرق أن الشهوة.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم. اللهم نور قلوبنا بمعرفتك واشرح صدورنا بنور كتابك وسنة نبيك، واحفظنا عن زلل وخطأ في بيان مرادك. اللهم إنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. رب اشرح لنا صدورنا ويسر لنا أمورنا واحلل عقدة من ألسنتنا يفقهوا قولنا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So you will be discussing the masala from yesterday. It is permissible for a woman to look at a man, to those parts of his body which another man can look at, provided that she feels safe from stirring up any passions. Why? And he explained because males and females, when it comes to looking at those things which are not aura, they are equal. And then he mentioned with regards to Imam Yusuf rahmatullahi, or rather Imam Muhammad rahmatullahi, in his Kitab al-Mabsud, he says that a woman can only look at those parts of a strange male which a male is able to look at maharim. It will come in front. What are you allowed to see of the maharim? The upper part of the body, the neck, the upper part of the body till the head, basically the forearms and below the knee. So this will be a second opinion with regards to this matter. لأن النظر إلى خلاف الجنس. Why? Imam Muhammad is saying because to look at the opposite gender, that is more severe. فإن كان في قلبها شهوة. So then if there is any passion in the heart, any stirring of passion in the heart, incitement, or أكبر رأيها أنها تشتهي, or her opinion is a strong opinion, major opinion is that it will lead to incitement, أو شك في ذلك, or she's not sure, in doubt, then يستحب لها أن تغض بصرها. It is mustahab, preferable that she lowers the gaze. ولو كان الناظر هو رجل إليها وهو بهذه الصفات لم ينظر. And if the onlooker is a male, and he has this particular condition of not sure whether he's going to incite passions, or he is sure, reasonably sure, or he's in doubt, then in this case here, it is not permissible. فلم ينظر. وهذا إشارة إلى تحريم. So the author is saying this indicates towards making impermissible. But for a male, it's impermissible. We did this before. But for a female, it's mustahab, not true. ووجه الفرق, what is the difference? Why is it different rulings? Why is it mustahab only for female not to look, but haram for male to look? So the author is saying, Allah alam, right? You might not agree with what he's saying, but he's saying the difference is أن الشهوة علينا غالبة. That passion in a woman is overpowering, or found to a greater extent. وهو كالمتحقق. So therefore, in her regards, it will be as if it is there. So meaning you consider it to be present. Because it's more dominant than in males, we will consider it to be as if it is present. So therefore, whether she's in doubt or whether she's not sure, we will say it is there. فإذا اشتهى الرجل كانت الشهوة من الجانبين. So if a male has desire for, then the feeling will be mutual. No جانبين. We found out both, meaning it will be mutual. He's attracted to her and she's attracted to him. ولا كذلك إذا اشتهت المرأة لأن الشهوة غير موجودة في جانبه. Unlike if it is only the female that desires the male. Because in this case, the shahwa desire is not present from his side. It's only present from one side. حقيقة واعتبارا in reality and also شرعا اعتبارا meaning قياسا. فكان من جانب واحد المتحقق من الجانبين في الإفضاء إلى المحرم أقوى. So therefore, that which is found from one side and that which is found definitely from both sides in leading towards that which is haram is more greater. Okay? من المتحقق من جانب واحد is greater than from being found from one side only. Understand?
Okay.
So this is the author's reasoning behind the difference in the hukam between where a male is desiring only and in a male desiring and a female desiring. Okay? So this is his explanation for that. So what some of the Usharafi explain is what it means is that a woman, if she is desiring only, she's attracted to the male, but the male is not showing any sign of attraction, then the haya in a female is more greater than in a male. A female has greater haya, more modesty than a female. So her modesty will prevent her from expressing or showing that inclination in any way. In a normal circumstance, obviously the modern world has changed greatly. But if the male is also desiring her because of his lesser haya, he will express his desire or show his desire in some way or the other, which will then lead to her also becoming bold to express her desire and acknowledge her desire for him as well. So this will lead to a problem. Can you follow?
Okay.
So those are some of the shurah saying, Allah alam, بهذا. But that is the masala. قال وتنظر المرأة من المرأة إلى ما يجوز الرجل أن ينظر إليه من الرجل. And if a woman can see of another female to those parts which is permissible for a male to look at of another male. It was everything besides the aura from the navel to below the knee. Below the navel to below the knee. Now remember, this is just a masala. You're not saying that they must do so. This is just a masala that if the occasion arises for this to happen, then it will be permissible. Or if a female is in the company of another female, but in a house, for example, she's being visited by someone female, then obviously she doesn't have to be so formal as she would be with a male. Meaning that if she's wearing her work clothes at home, and normally the forearms are open because she's kneading, or she's cleaning, or she's sewing, or she's doing whatever at the house. So normally the females don't dress so covered up. And she would, and maybe her neck will be open, scarf is tied backwards on the head, the neck will be open, the upper chest may be open by the neck area and so forth. Well, because she's working. So she obviously to work in clothing that covering everything, it can be cumbersome. That's what they mean. Not that is a license not to do so. Usually mujanasa, why? Because they belong to the same gender. وإن إدام شهوتي غالبا, and most likely there isn't any kind of attraction. كما في نظر رجل إلى رجل, just like how if a male wants to look at another man. وكأن الضرورة قد تحققت إلى الانكشاف فيما بينهن. And also, because there is necessity sometimes that this requires them to be to be a little bit more exposed amongst themselves, more than they would amongst the opposite gender. وعن أبي حنيفة رحمة الله إن نظر المرأة إلى المرأة كنظر الرجل إلى محارمه. However, Imam Hanifa رحمة الله says no, a woman can only see those parts of another woman that a male can look at of his محارم. بخلاف النظر إلى رجل, contrary to a sight of a male. لأن الرجال يحتاجون إلى زيادة الانكشاف. Why? Because males require, are in need of a little bit more exposure. while الاشتغال بالأعمال, because they involve with work. And the person outside of work, farmer in his farm, or nowadays person on a khabao, on a building and so forth, especially in hot weather, they will expose more first because it's art or because they'll get dirty and so on and so forth. Understand? Mechanic and so forth. But because of this work, because of the type of work that they will be doing, it will be necessary for them to expose a bit more of their body. So anyway, this is Imam Hanif Rahmatullah's view on the matter. They say what awwal wa saha, it was the first ruling meaning in the matan. This is the more correct opinion. Now, وهي قال وينظر الرجل من أمته التي تحل له وزوجته إلى فرجها. And it is permissible, Imam Qudri Rahmatullahi is saying, نفعه بعلومه وعلوم مشايخنا وبكم آمين. It is permissible for a male to look at that slave woman for whom it is permissible who is permissible for him, and to look at his wife as a private part. But it means that a slave girl that he owns, not somebody else's slave girl. So a male may look at that slave girl which is permissible for him and to his wife, and he can look at a private part. Right? وهذا إطلاق في النظر إلى سائر بدنها. And this is a general permission for him to look at the entire body. And shahwatin وغير shahwatin, regardless of whether it is with passion or not. والأصل فيه, and the basis of this masala is what? The statement of the Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, غُدَّ بَصَرَكَ إِلَّا عَنْ عَمَتِكَ وَامْرَأَتِكَ, or كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم, that look at, sorry, lower your gaze, except from your legal slave girl and your wife. ولأن ما فوق ذلك من المسيس والغشيان مباح. And also because anything greater than looking, ما فوق mean ما فوق النظر. Anything greater than looking, such as touching, means bayaniya, that is to say, or namely, touching and intimacy, this is mubah, permissible. Another awla, so then obviously to look will be to a greater extent permissible. And if touching and intimacy is permissible, then why shouldn't looking be permissible? إلا أن الأولى ألا ينظر, except that it is preferable not to look at the private part itself. لا ينظر كل واحد إلى عورة صاحبه. It is preferable that they do not look at each other's private parts. لقول عليه الصلاة والسلام, because of the statement of the Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم, إذا أتى أحدكم أهله فليستتر ما استطاع ولا يتجردان تجارد العير. That when one of you approaches his wife, and you should cover up to whatever extent possible, and they should not expose themselves completely, meaning become nude completely, like that of what you call a camel. However, some ulama say that this refers to tajarrud. It's not a dalil for not looking, and Allah alam. ولأن ذلك يورث النسيان, and because this also leads to forgetfulness, and your memory will become weak. لورود الأثر, because of an athar in regards to this. However, no such athar exists, والله أعلم. وكان ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما يقول الأولى أي ينظر. Ibn Umar رضي الله عنهما used to say, it is better that they look ليكون أبلغ في تحصيل معنى اللذة, because it will create greater pleasure. قال وينظر رجل من ذوات المحارم. Now this is the masala which I mentioned. What can a man see of his maharim? Sister, mother, daughter, and so forth. And a male may see from his maharim the face, the head, in the hair, والصدر, the chest, والساقين, the shins, والعضدين, the forearms. ولا ينظر إلى ظهرها وبطنها وفخذها, and he cannot look at her back or her stomach and her thighs. So basically anything below the chest right around, then 108 degrees right around, from the chest downwards till the below the, till the knee. You can't look at in simple terms. Everything everything above that or below that, you can look at. But again, there's a license now for them to expose us. It's just that obviously sometimes the clothes that they will wear at home might show a little bit more than what they would outside or in front of strangers. So if, especially because when they're working and so forth, kitchen work or whatever, in the garden, whatever, it will be cumbersome for them to wear clothing that covers everything. But again, that doesn't mean that they must expose these areas unnecessarily, because that will lead to shame. والأصل فيه قوله تعالى ولا يبدين زينتهن. And again, the basis of this masala is a statement of Allah Ta'ala in the Quran, Surah An-Nur, and they should not expose their beauty إلا لبعولتهن, except to their husbands, until the end of the ayah. And these are the Al-Murad, what is meant by zinatahunna, the beauty of Allah Alam, Allah knows best, mawadi zina, the places of adornment. And so, for example, the necks where they put their necklaces, their forearms where they place their chains on their forearms and so forth. Okay. وهي ما ذكرنا في الكتاب, and it is what we have mentioned in the book, meaning in the matan. Those places have been mentioned in the matan. ويدخل في ذلك الساعد, and included in that is the forearm. والأذن, and the ears. والعنق, the ears because the earrings. والعنق, the neck. والقدم, the feet. لأن كل ذلك مواضع زينة. Why? Because all of these parts are the places of where the things of beauty and jewelry and so forth are placed. بخلاف الظهر والبطن, البطن والفخذ, unlike the stomach, the back, and the thighs. And again, this is obviously 180 degrees. لأن ليست مواضع زينة. Why? Because these are places where ornaments are placed. ولأن البعض يدخل على البعض من غير استئذان واحتشام. And also because they frequently coming up and down to each other. So we frequently frequently entering upon each other, meaning like the rooms and so forth. Understand? Without permission, without taking permission, والاحتشام, and without a lot of modesty. So without a lot of shame, because it's your sister, it's your mother, whatever. والمرأة في بيتها في ثياب مهنتها عادة. And a woman in the house, she's normally wearing those clothes in which she does her work. Housework مهنتها. So generally عادة. فلو حرم النظر إلى هذه المواضع أدى إلى الحرج. So if it would be impermissible, if looking at these places would have been made haram, to sort of lead to difficulty for both, understand? In terms of frequenting each other and in terms of being able to do work comfortably and so forth. وكذا الرغبة تكل لحرمة المؤبدة. And likewise, inclination towards such females which are haram upon you forever, are perpetually haram upon you, is takillu, is rare. فَقَلَّمَا تَشْتَهِي, so very rare to find anyone in being inclined towards such a person, unless they're perverse, because they're seriously sick. بخلاف ما وراءها لأنها لا تنكشف عادة. Contrary to those parts beyond this, like I said, from the chest up to the head and from the knees below to the feet, these are not generally exposed. Sorry, what am I saying now? Sorry, contrary to those other parts, which is the stomach, the back, the thighs, these are generally not exposed. والمحرم, who's a mahram, من لا تجوز المناكحة بينه وبينها للتعبيد. A mahram is a person whom is not permissible for you to get married to ever, التعبيد. So the word أبد. Okay. بنسب كان أو بسبب, irregardless of because of lineage, you can't get married to them because they're related to you. أو بسبب كرضا, or because of some other cause, right? Which is what كرضا, for example, it's your milk mother, milk sister, أو المصاهرة, or another cause of تحريم معبد is in-lawship. In-lawship, so your mother-in-law. Mother-in-law or father-in-law if it's a female will always remain haram. Even if that person was to divorce that lady, her mother will always remain haram. His father will always remain haram. Alright, so this is called uh, al-hurma to be sabab. So regardless whether it's hurma bil nasab or hurma bil sabab, then these are your mafari. Why? لوجود المعنيين فيه. Why? Because both of these reasons are found in him, meaning ضرورة and قلة الرغبة, and necessity and inclination, disinclination, or a no inclination, being found in both in these as well. وسواء كانت المصاهرة في النكاح أو السفاح في الأصح ما بينا, and also whether this in-lawship is established through a proper nikah or through zina. That's according to the Ahnaf. And according to the Ahnaf, even if you commit zina with a woman and you don't ever marry her daughter and her mother and everything will always remain haram upon you. Understand? That's a very important masala. In fact, the Hurmat al-Musahara in the Hanafi madhab is more strict than a kitab. There's a booklet that's been written about it also. It used to be sold by Azadul Madrasa. I don't know if they still sell it. Even touching such a woman or looking at such a woman, at any woman, was shahwa, will establish musahara with passion. And looking at a woman with passion, and those parts you're not allowed to look at, or touching her with passion, that is sufficient to cause musahara, establish hurmatul musahara between you and her, according to the Ahnaf. Understood that?
Yeah.
Gee, any questions so far? Anything you didn't understand?
Now, with this last masala, even that where you make a mistake, it's not zina, so that will also cause halmata.
Half mistake like how?
Like, I keep calling and I forgot the word, but I'll get back now with the name of it.
You committed zina with her by mistake.
Yeah, but there's a word now. They give it, I forgot the name of it now.
Yeah, it will. Then even then, yeah, it will. Like for example, they give something the masala in the kitab, but you obviously you didn't realize it's not your wife. You thought like two
Okay,
people got married at the same time, for example.
what's it called again,
Two
man?
sisters. I can't remember it now myself. Yeah, so it's not counted to be zina. I think it's called ghila. I don't know. I have a correction. Ghila, it might be ghila. So it's not counted as zina, and you won't
Okay,
be punished anyway. But yes, even then, as a precaution, even then, the mother musara will be established.
okay.
Understand? لما بينا for what we explained in previous in Kitab al-Nikah. Okay, then I just wanted to clarify this again. So another reason for this concession, you can say, is because sometimes you may need to look at these parts of your maharim. For example, they become sick, and you're the only one there who can administer medication. You're the only one there who can treat, bandage a wound, or whatever the case is. There's nobody else to see it. You don't have a sister, you don't have an aunt, or you're looking after your aunt, and she doesn't have anybody. She doesn't have children, whatever, to look to her, to see to her. So that's also another reason why this has been relaxed. The laws has been relaxed in this regard. You may need to bath your aged mother, for example. So obviously you want to expose a complete body. There's nobody else to bath her. You can't afford what you call this care, like a nurse to come and do it, whatever. You don't have sisters to do it. You don't have aunts or other females who can come and do it for you. You're the only one there to look after your aged mother. You need to wash her, whatever. So obviously, to whatever extent, and maybe not exposing her fully, you can then do that, bath and so forth. Okay. So that's also
Yeah,
another reason why the laws have been relaxed in this regard. Otherwise, it'd be very, very difficult. Um, Otherwise, this will become very difficult to in many instances and in many. So again, it's not a reason for the females of the house to walk around in lingerie and so forth in front of the children, and it will lead to a lot of shamelessness uh, and unnecessarily expose their bodies uh, in the house. Okay? ولا بأس and like I told you before also, nowadays with the Maharim also exactly. And we're living in an immodest society. And unfortunately, pornography, whether we like it or not, is a reality. And many of our people, even pious people out there, are looking at this stuff, right? You can speak to the Mashaykh, speak to the ulama. How many people got caught up? Sometimes by mistake also. We're not pointing fingers, we're not looking down upon them. They were maybe innocently looking at the internet for something, and you get all these pop-ups and stuff out of curiosity or maybe out of a weak moment of weakness. They clicked on, and that's it. They were hooked like a drug. Understand? And then for them to come out of it, again, like I say, you can speak to the mashayikh of the Tasawwuf and that. A lot of people are caught up. So a lot of people. Be it unfortunately learned people, be it even so outwardly pious people, 5 times musallis and so forth, got caught up in this. And obviously that excites the passions. And, uh, and a person becomes addicted to these things. You don't look who the woman is. Okay? Unfortunately. That's the reality of our society. So we need to be careful. We need to take precautions. It's not like before, where you could trust the father-in-law, brother-in-law, not the brother-in-law, sorry, father-in-law, and so on and so forth. Okay? We hear weird things all the time taking place. ولا بأس بأن يمس ما جاز أن ينظر إليه منها. And there's no problem with him touching that which is permissible for them to look at. لتحقق الحاجة إلى ذلك, because of necessity being established for that. Like I just gave an example now. For example, I give an example film Musafara. For example, while traveling together. And this was especially in the old days, you might need to put your mahram onto the horse, help her get off, and so on and so forth. وقلة الشهوة للمحرمية, and also because of the lesser possibility or the rare possibility of shahwa in regards to your mahram. بخلاف وجه الأجنبية وكفها, contrary to touching the face of a stranger and a palm as we did before, حيث لا يباح مسه, where it is not permissible to do so. وإن أبيح النظر, even though it is permissible to look. لأن الشهوة متكاملة, because here the meaning or the possibility of shahwa is found to a complete extent. إلا إذا كان يخاف عليها أو على نفسه شهوة, unless this is now exception to the rule of the masala in the matan, unless he fears upon her or upon himself a stirring up of passions, فحينئذ لا ينظر ولا يمس, in which case it won't be permissible for him to look or touch even his mahari. لقول عليه الصلاة والسلام العينان تزنيان وزناهما النظر واليدان تزنيان وزناهما البطش. Because Nabi Sallallahu has stated that the eyes also commit zina, and their zina is looking, meaning with passion. And the hands also commit zina, and their zina is to touch. وحرمة الزنا بذوات المحارم أغلظ فيجتنب. And the impermissibility of zina with one's maharim, with one's uh, with those people whom it's not permissible for you to get married to, is greater and more severe. So therefore, you should abstain from causing a problem. ولا بأس بالخوة والمسافرة, and there's no problem with him being alone with him and traveling with him. لقول عليه الصلاة والسلام لا تسافر المرأة فوق 3 أيام ولياليها إلا ومع زوجها أو ذو محرم منها. Or كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم, that a woman should not travel, should not undertake a journey of 3 days or more, meaning 72 kilometers or 78 kilometers, except that with her is her spouse or a mahram. وقول عليه الصلاة والسلام ألا لا يخلون رجل بامرأة ليس منها بسبيل فإن ثالثها الشيطان. That a woman should never ever be in seclusion, be alone with a strange male, with whom, or rather a male should not be in seclusion with a female with whom is not permissible for him to get married to, because the third person in that company is shaitan. And the shaitan will cause problems between the two of you, and that can lead very quickly to zina and so forth. وَالْمُرَادُ إِذَا لَمْ يَكُنْ مَحْرَمًا. And what is meant here is if that woman or that man is not a mahram. فإن احتاجت إلى الإركاب أو الإنزال فلا بأس بأن يمسام وراء ثيابها. So therefore, if she is in need of being assisted in mounting an animal for travel, or getting down, descending, getting down from the animal, dismounting, then there's no problem with him touching her, touching her with her clothes on, so touching her clothes or touching her behind her clothes with the clothes. ويأخذ ظهرها وبطنها, and in this case, he may then touch by her stomach or her back in order to help her dismount or mount. دون ما تحتهما, not the parts below that. إذا أمنا الشهوة, if they're both safe from passions. فإن خافها على نفسه أو عليها تيقنا أو ظنا أو شكا فليجتنب ذلك بجهده. However, if he fears upon her himself, or he fears her, if he fears passion from himself or from her side, tayakunan definitely, or dhannan, or most likely, or shakkan, or is in doubt, could be, could not be, possibility. فَلْيَجْتَنِبْ ذَلِكَ. In all 3 instances, we should refrain from that, bijuhdi, to the utmost extent, meaning from helping or assisting her. ثم إن أمكن الركوب بنفسها يمتنع ذلك أصلا. If she is able to mount or dismount by herself, he should abstain from helping her at all. وإن لم يمكنها يتكلف بالثياب كي لا تصيبه حرارة أعوذ. And if she's unable to do so by himself, he should exert himself with the clothing so that he doesn't feel the heat of her body. And he should make some takalluf in helping her with the clothing, meaning try to hold the clothing in such a way it's not touching the body part. And make some takalluf. وإن لم يجد الثياب, and if he's unable to find any piece of cloth or something to help her up, whatever, يدفع الشهوة, which يدفع الشهوة عن قلبه بقدر الإمكان. He will try to brush off, will try to push away any inclination from his heart to the best of his ability, to the best possible extent. Understood?
Sure.
Gee, any questions? Anything you didn't understand?
No.
Okay, we'll stop there, inshallah, and continue tomorrow بإذن الله تعالى. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.